Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Revel channel. So we are covering Real Housewives of Potomac season 7 episode 7, Potomac We Have a Problem. Okay, the real title is Beef is Served, but I'm calling it Potomac We Have a Problem. I will be covering the AMAs from this past Sunday, so be on the lookout for that video. And later on in this video, I will have the disclaimer for those who may find certain information very triggering. So let's go ahead and get into it. The episode opens back up with Mia still on the phone with Peter. She asks him what the beef is about, and it starts off very playful. You know, he's joking about what the beef is. He kind of downplays everything, and I can say that production, y'all kind of played it up to make it seem like it was going to be something more. So that's why I said what I said in the last video. And Mia basically says, you know, I'm trying to figure out what's really going on. And then we see that she talks about how she met Peter. They've been cool for about 10 years at this point, so you know, he's like family. Then we have Ashley going to the bandit, and she tells them about her getting a divorce and how, you know, people are sliding into her DMs now. Her and Michaels are starting to have more problems. You know, they're arguing over the smallest things. Giselle basically says, girl, you're single now. People are going to be sliding to your DMs, including exes. We see Robin and Giselle say that, of course, Michael is going to start treating you differently because he actually probably didn't think you were trying to divorce him for real. We then see this like clip, and I'm like, what is this noise in the background?
Your steamer on?
No, guess what? Every time somebody flushes the toilet, here, the water pipe. Here we go.
Y'all, I know we don't like the bandits, but I wouldn't even put them in a room like that. Like, who wants to hear that every time somebody flushes? Like, why are the pipes right above them? So while they're having a conversation, we see Mia and Jacqueline, and basically they're talking about how Jacqueline has left everything back at home, and we know these type of people.
Toothpaste, deodorant, lip gloss, tampons, soap. When she gets to that sixth thing, you on your own, okay? At this point, you need to go to CVS.
Honestly, I understand, Mia. I get it. We do leave things at times, but girl, you left all this and certain stuff you just don't share. And a lot of the stuff that she was saying, that is on my do not share list. But at the same time, I do want to say, side note, Jacqueline is nasty. Why are you sharing razors? Like, most men use Manscaped, so you're using their Manscaped that is used on that area to shave on you. Girl, you gonna get bumped. So then we see Mia trying to convince, you know, Charisse to stay. Like, you know, you don't have to go get a room. Everybody is in the house fanning because it's super hot. And I'm like, girl, get them some AC. Y'all are in Miami. You're in the South. It's hot. AC needs to be on at all times. We then see Wendy and Karen holding a conversation, and they're talking about Charisse. Wendy tells Karen, you know, I'm here to celebrate you this weekend. It's your birthday. Karen says that her and Charisse haven't been friends for like 5 years at this point. They talk about Charisse wanting to take her to like lunch or something along those lines, but she don't want to have that conversation with her until it's like, you know, the right environment. And I think she's basically trying to say, I'm not going to do this with you on camera, but she feels like this isn't a real serious issue as other people may try to make it to be. We then see Ashley trying to do her TikToks. Giselle and Mia come out. Mia starts to hold a conversation with them, and she says this about Jacqueline.
Yeah, and Jacqueline needs a toothbrush, soap, a wash.
But she didn't bring it herself?
Deodorant. Y'all share toothbrushes? Y'all share deodorant?
Girl, why do you do that? That is supposed to be your best friend, and I think it's crazy that you're going out there and you're saying this stuff about her. Side note, the way you talked to her in the room, I didn't mention that earlier, that was really messed up too. They then discuss them going to dinner at like bar 1. We see Ashley ask, you know, did Wendy know that they're going? And Mia basically says no, and she tells them that Peter said that he has beef with her. Giselle then says Wendy did research on Peter, and she basically said she did this to kind of get information on Peter when it comes to business and get into business with him. And I'm like, girl, don't everybody do that? You got to make sure that they're legit. You know, you're not gonna mess over me with my money and my time. And then we then see Giselle say, you know, Wendy don't have no money. And I'm like, well, Giselle, do you? Because I know I can't talk. I don't own a home, but we've seen your home and what all you had to do and how long that took. So do you have the money? So after this, everybody goes in. They're taking shots. We see Mia make this statement.
Yeah. Does a frog have a water tank?
Huh?
Does a frog have a water tank?
Everybody was confused. I was confused. I still don't understand where that come from, but I get it, I guess. Then the women all get into their cars. You know, there's 2 separate cars. So in the car that Mia's in, they're talking about Charisse. Mia says that she is happy that Charisse is choosing to stay. We also see Jacqueline say that she likes Charisse. She thinks she's really cool. Mia then says, you know, Karen, I get why Charisse isn't your fave. And well, I'ma just show this for future references.
I was like, girl, these all girls in here. And it's 5 bathrooms. Before I was on the fence, but now I'm siding more on your side because I feel like it could be what she's saying about you guys meeting up for lunch could definitely be more of a like just drama.
Jacqueline was about to say something and Mia rudely stops her and says, you know, I'm not talking to you. Even Wendy and Karen was looking like, girl, what? Like, stop talking to that girl like that. This is literally the third time in this episode that you were rude or said something rude to her or about her. So we then see Jacqueline say like Mia, like her name like 3 times, like Mia, calm it, like scoot back, stop, you're doing too much. So while they're having that conversation, in the other car we see Robin, Giselle, Charisse, and Ashley. Ashley was in that car too. So they're talking about, you know, spouses not want to use the restroom in front of their spouse. This coming from like one of their reasonably shady questions. So we see Charisse say, you know, she doesn't do that, and I'm gonna do that. If I gotta go to the bathroom, I'm going to the bathroom whether my spouse is in there or not. Then we see Robin basically says, you know, she's gonna do that. And she also says that she walks around the house naked in front of her kids. And Giselle basically says this:
14, these boys getting old. They know what is. Like, cover it up, Robin. Just cover it up.
And I agree with Giselle. Like, girl, they're 14. They know what it look like. When I don't have kids, but I know when I have kids, if I have sons, I'm not walking around my sons like that. They know what that stuff is. It's weird. They finally make it to the restaurant. Then we see Wendy basically say, you know, this is a coincidence that we're eating here, but I'm here for fun, not business. Robin wants to do hookah, and she basically asks, you know, who want to do it with me? We see Mia basically says, you know, I don't do it, but Jacqueline does. Jacqueline has it at her home. And Jacqueline is looking like, girl, don't make it sound like I'm an addict. Why are you throwing her under the bus? Like, you got everybody looking at her like, what? They order their drinks. They ask about when is Candace getting there. And, you know, Wendy says, you know, she'll be here at like 10 o'clock or whatever. Then we see Ashley says, you know, the mood is going to change because Candace has a chip on her shoulder. And I'm like, ma'am, if she has a chip on her shoulder, then you have the whole family bag at this point when it comes to Michael. And we see that Robin says, well, y'all did have words about y'all husbands. And for the first time, I'm agreeing with Robin in a good minute. Both of y'all had stuff to say. You would feel offended if she said something about Michael, which she has in the past. Then Ashley asks who heard her say anything about Chris trying to grab her friends behind. She basically says, I didn't say that. Giselle says, you know, that's what she heard. Now, Giselle, we talked about this last episode. That did not come out of that girl's mouth. We then see the confessionals of everybody saying, I heard it, where they heard it from, X, Y, and Z. Then we then see Mia basically say that she heard it, and you know, she puts all this extra stuff into it, and I'm like, of course you would say all that. You do like to embellish the same way Giselle does. We then see basically Giselle try to change the subject, and she's like, oh, Karen, Charisse, I seen y'all spoke at the airport and have y'all talked since then. This is great. Both of the women say, no, we haven't. Then we see Charisse basically say, you know, people think she's coming from a bad place. And she basically is like being specific when it comes to Wendy. Then we get a quick flashback from earlier.
I was talking to Karen. I asked her if she's okay with Mia inviting you. She said she's completely fine. She's in a good place. I said, well, how would you feel if the person may not be coming from a good place? So you think I'm not coming from a good place? I don't know.
Wendy asked her, but I will say, Wendy, right there, you should have just stayed out of it. But then we see Mia basically saying, Wendy, cool it. And Wendy is basically saying, girl,
you were just in the car saying now you understand why Karen doesn't with Charisse.
Or, you know, that same clip I had to show y'all a little earlier. Then Mia tries to backpedal and say she didn't.
Is that because of the room situation, you were a little theatrical? I said I can see how I'm more on your side because I can see because she was very theatrical. That's my point.
I was like, girl, it's all girls in here. And it's 5 bathrooms. Before I was on the fence, but now I'm siding more on your side because I feel like it could be what she's saying about you guys meeting up for lunch could definitely be more of a, like, just drama.
Girl, you just repeated the same exact thing that Wendy said. Then we see Robin basically trying to say, you know, don't let people twist your words. Girl, you weren't even there, so shut up. Now, I will say when it came to her imitation of Charisse, it was super funny. The whole table was laughing. Charisse reiterates that she wants to have lunch with Karen to see what the issue is. Karen feels like, you know, we've evolved past this. It's been 5 years. I haven't seen nor spoken to you, so why do you want to talk to me now? I understood exactly what Karen was saying. She then blessed her food, started singing happy birthday to herself. And I'm not gonna lie, I was laughing in this moment. Like, Karen was funny. She was like, girl, I am not worried about y'all. Peter gets there to tell everybody hello. He actually know how's the food. They tell him it's good. He leaves. Then we see Mia ask Charisse to come with her and they go talk to Peter. While Giselle is basically trying to convince Karen to talk to Charisse. Listen, Karen is basically saying she's not getting her moment from her, so leave it alone. She starts singing happy birthday all over again. Side note, if y'all hear noises in the back, that's my neighbors, I'm sorry. We then see Mia ask Peter what is his beef. He tells her everything and I'm looking like, sir, this is bad for business. Why would anybody want to do business with him? Because Mia is not a part of that. So why are you giving her all that information? Peter, you were wrong here. You've been on Housewives for like years in Atlanta. You know how this works. You're putting that battery in her back. I don't like it, and I feel like this was the start of the issue that we're going to see later on in the episode. We then see Charisse say she want to work with Peter, she want to do a champagne lounge. She gets ready to leave, and then Mia makes a comment of, Charisse checks will clear unlike Wendy's, and I'm like, y'all love to throw this woman's financial situation out there when y'all don't really know what she got going on. But we could say the same about you, Mia, because the stuff that's going on with your family, but nobody is talking about that. They actually rallied behind you. Peter then says he doesn't like that Wendy came to his city and his restaurant, didn't even tell him, and I'm like, Peter, you are not her man. She don't need to tell you when she's coming into Miami, Baltimore. I don't care if she's going to California. She don't need to tell you that. And then when it comes to the restaurant thing, she didn't even know she was going to eat there, but of course Mia didn't say that. She didn't even tell her. We then see Mia in her confessional, and she says, Mia, you have a contract under review with Peter, and if she doesn't have the time or the money, then just say that. And in Wendy's confessional, we do learn,
Yes, he owes me something. Peter sent me over the first red line to the landlord. I wanted to conduct a site visit on the place for the potential restaurant because I had not been. So I haven't heard from him since that text message.
So Peter, it sounds like she's waiting on you. We then see Mia say that Wendy doesn't know what she wants. She's a professor trying to sell candles, and I don't even think I said this, but I want to make sure I say this in this episode. Wendy comes from a background where her family chose her life for her. So she's trying to find herself. What's wrong with trying to find herself? She just happens to be finding herself later than most people when they first go to college. And then what is wrong with having a diverse income? Okay, she's a professor. She's selling candles. She could be doing something with homes. You diversify your income so that you have multiple streams of revenue in different areas, so you're going to always be okay. The whole cast is doing that. So why are y'all trying to make it seem like it's a problem? At the table, we see Ashley, and she says that it took her a minute to warm up to Mia. And then Jacqueline says this.
I'm like, Mia, you're a lot. Because I've known her since we were kids, it's okay. But I'm like, if I would have met you as an adult, would we be friends? I'm not sure.
At this point, we're starting to see the cracks within their friendship and why they are where they are today. Mia makes it back to the table, and this is where everything goes left. Okay, so this is a quick trigger warning, and it's a lot of people saying he said, she said, yada, yada, yada. I'm gonna do it clip for clip, so there's no confusion. Mia came back with unnecessary energy here. She tells them what Peter told her when she was over there talking and how he has beef with Wendy. Wendy says she doesn't have beef with men, and Mia said, don't start because he's my family. Now, while she's doing this, she's pointing her finger. Wendy asked her, what are you trying to do right now? And in this moment, this is where I believe Wendy is realizing, oh, y'all on some other stuff. Wendy then tells Mia if Peter has beef, then he can have beef with my husband. Mia then says Peter sent her a contract, and I told y'all, she already told us the details on that, so we know the real. Then Mia says Peter's giving you an opportunity for him to mentor you, XYZ. Giselle is basically amen and everything, and I'm sitting there like, Giselle, shut up. She is not on this trip for business. She is here for girls' time to have fun, so she does not have to check in with Peter. Wendy says she doesn't check in with anyone but her husband. Mia says this is business, so why are you talking about your husband? She's saying she doesn't care whether that is or not, but she's not here for business, and she doesn't check in with any man but her husband. Then we see Wendy tell her,
Don't tell me what the to do. Don't tell me that. Maybe that's how you and your husband play. How me and my husband play. We don't play like that.
Mia gets irritated. So for those who said she said something bad about her husband, then she threw the drink, no, she did not. All she said was, you and your husband may check in with people whether it's for business or not when it pertains to a man, but that's not how we do things on this side. She did not say anything bad about her husband, and that did not warrant a drink to be thrown in her face. Mia then stands up and tells Wendy, you're not going to talk about my husband. So Mia, you were wrong for pointing your finger, standing up on her. They continue to go back and forth, and Robin calls Wendy antagonistic. Robin, I'm gonna need for you to scoot back. She did not antagonize that situation. Mia came with that energy first, and I'll get to where Wendy kept going, and I'm going to explain that later. But in this moment, no, she's responding to the drink being thrown on her. So Mia knew exactly what she was doing, Just like Robin knew what she was doing when she pulled that phone out to only record Wendy and not the full spectrum. Robin, you're tacky. Y'all are trying to move the goalposts. We then see you say, if you're not gonna fight, then sit down. Why are you trying to incite violence when y'all said on this show that y'all don't condone it? We then see Karen basically tell Robin to put her phone down. We now see Wendy basically saying, oh, you're throwing a drink at me because of Peter? Are you sleeping with him? She is saying it's because most people who fight over something that deals with another man, it's because you're possibly sleeping with them. So if you're not sleeping with him and this isn't your man, then why are you getting upset? Because she didn't say anything bad about your husband until after you threw the drink. We then see Wendy make comments about her look. Mia charges back at her. Yes, Wendy shouldn't have said that about her, but in this moment, y'all, Mia, you did all this stuff. You stood up on her, pointed your finger, threw the drink at her, all that other stuff. Now she's responding. Ashley says that Mia was wrong for throwing the drink at her, and they ask how did the drink miss Karen. You know, they make the jokes about the Matrix and all that stuff here. Jacqueline tries to calm Mia down, and then they come back to the table because they already had left, so you know, she calmed her down and then brought her back. Karen then tells Mia that throwing a drink is never cool. Then it turns into Mia crying, saying she talked about my husband. You're taking her side. Girl, she said this after you threw that drink. Karen is standing on the fact that both of them are wrong. And then Giselle is like, you need to pick a side. I understand being neutral in this situation, and I know some people are going to say, yeah, you need to pick a side. Okay, she feel like both of them are wrong. She's saying two wrongs don't make a right. But the way I see it, if anybody throws something at you, hit you, do anything like that, you're going to react in some shape or form. And it just so happened that her reaction is with her words. She actually didn't even use her hands. While Karen and Mia are talking, we then see Mia point her finger again. So for those who said, here's Wendy antagonizing after everything has calmed down, no, she did not. Mia pointed her finger that way again, and then we then see Wendy say, you got one more time to put your finger in my face. And Wendy did stand up on her in this moment. Security gets Wendy out of there, and in this moment I'm like, why is security the only person who seems to really be looking out for Wendy, saying don't let them get you out of character because this is what they're trying to get you to do? So clearly he sees what's going on. We then see Mia call Wendy ghetto. So y'all not ghetto? You fighting, yelling, and doing all that stuff doesn't make you ghetto? Robin yelling, saying you're antagonizing, doing the most, that doesn't make her ghetto? Her walking up on other people, that doesn't make her ghetto? Y'all use certain terms and do certain stuff when it pertains to certain people, and that's not cool. Wendy gets back to the table. Mia tells Jacqueline why she said what she said, and she says every time she talks to a Wendy, says something about her, somebody brings something to her, she gets upset. And I'm not gonna act like Wendy can't do the most at times, but the stuff y'all talking about has been y'all. Actually, y'all haven't had any issues at all this year, and all of a sudden this is the biggest thing that gets you in a fight? Make it make sense. At this moment, Wendy is calling Mia names. To me, this is where she really starts to antagonize, and at this point, Mia has it coming. Then we see Mia tell her,
it's time. And what you gonna do? Look at you. Look at this.
So not only did you do all this, you then try to hit her with your purse. We see Wendy making all kind of comments, and honestly, she has it coming at this point. But her comment she's making is basically a revelation to all the stuff that y'all say or do and try to use against other people. Hold your temper, because you know everybody else is supposed to hold their temper, but it doesn't pertain to y'all. She's being violent. Y'all do violent things and y'all try to get Monique and other people off the show. Or now we see Mia crying, playing victim, talking about she broke a nail. Girl, you broke your nail because of you, and it looked like you was fighting with yourself because the purse looked like it really didn't even land and actually hit her. She calls her husband, tell him everything that happened. She's trying to get the first flight out of Miami. We see Robin and them go to check on Mia. They're basically saying Wendy was baiting you and you fell for it.
It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it.
This is clownery at its finest. Ashley says she likes Mia, but she doesn't like what she did. We then see Giselle come back to the table. They talk about how they're checking on her and how she's not doing so good. Wendy then says,
Where are you going? I can leave because I'm not gonna hear Mia empathizers or somebody who is okay with violence now. But when Monique did it to Candace, she was against violence. I'm not here for hypocrites.
And then at the end, we see Ashley make this face, and I'm like, that was the episode. So with this episode, the hypocrisy, the moving the goalposts, it's terrible. There's literally conversations of colorism on this show. I'm really starting to see it. I seen the discussions last year and how y'all plot and do things and the certain stuff. Like, there's a lot of YouTubers who's talking about it right now and they go more into depth. Make sure you check those videos out for those who aren't sure what colorism is, and if you feel like you don't see it, because it's definitely bleeding through the show at this point. And honestly, I'm ready for the reunion, but I'm gonna only be ready for it if they get somebody who's really gonna talk about the issues and not let them skate with all this like they did in the past years. And honestly, when they do all this and it makes the show not enjoyable to watch. And honestly, if they continue to do this, I don't know if I want to keep watching, viewing, because this is crazy. Something has to change. And normally when I watch a show, I feel like, you know, people do things, you can learn from it, you can get better. They should come back, have a better season. And I do hope they have a better season next year and we don't see this craziness anymore. But I can say it's time for some people to go at this point. We know who they are. So that is my review. Let me know what you thought and I will see y'all next time.